Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Table Takes. If you saw me before and didn't hear me, no, you didn't. That didn't happen. It was a fever dream. Today we have another amazing episode for you today with my fantastic co-host, and we have a very special guest with us today, Anita, filling in for Bonsai. So let's go down the line to see how our guests have been this week. Starting with you, Anita. How you been?
I've been well, other than the fact that I've been dying of a cold for the last week and a half. But I am on the mend now, and I'm ready to chat about some more TTRPG goodness and more tabletop fun stuff.
Awesome. And on our agenda here, Javion, you just have Peglin. So how have you been and what is Peglin
Oh,
with the
that's a
smiley
peg
face?
leg. A peg
Anita,
leg.
Anita, I'm sorry to hear that you were sick too. I was dealing with that last week, so best wishes to you. I am still dealing with the cough actually from that, so I'm hoping that you and I will both recover pretty soon because this is awful and it's been going
Yeah.
around a lot.
It lingers.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been the flu this season. Like the flu's just like, hey, don't forget about me amongst all this COVID nonsense.
right.
It really does suck
It
all the
really
way
does.
around.
But Peglin
Yes.
is a you might have heard of Peggle.
Oh yeah, I
Peggle
love Peggle.
for those of you who don't know, it's kind of just Plinko, but you get a little marble and you're trying to hit all the pegs on the way down and get a bunch of points. Well, Peglin is about a goblin who plays Peggle to fight monsters. So you shoot little rock stones. You throw stones at the pegs and it bounces off and it might blow up bombs and you'll defeat a bunch of slimes and piranha plants and you'll collect money and buy new stones for your satchel and upgrade
Oh,
all of
okay.
them.
I
It's
get it.
it's Slay the Spire type dungeon crawling, deck building, sort of bag building. Really, it's really fun.
Pe- Peggle, Goblin, Peglin. Okay,
See, yeah,
I see you out there.
it's a super fun indie game, and I've been playing it a lot, and I've been really enjoying it.
Heck yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a look. And Peter, how have you been? Hopefully, you aren't also sick because that would make it 4 for 4.
I am not sick, at least not yet. I'm always saying karaoke is the answer to the question, like what I'm doing this week. We had we had an unfortunate thing. We had to cancel a production, a shoot,
Oh,
because one of our cast members had COVID the
sorry to hear
day
that.
of, and so it was kind of a scare. And I thought a lot this week, about the challenges of where we're at in the pandemic, and we're also sick of it, and at the same time people are still getting sick, and it's tough. It's tough to figure out sometimes what our policy should be, especially as a business owner, where I have to take some responsibility for other people and decisions I make. So I don't know. It's been kind of a lot of mind chatter about this topic this last week.
Yeah.
But hey, other than that, I mean, it's good. I mean, yay, holidays coming up. So
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, this is one hell of a way for everything to remind us to keep taking COVID serious with the flu going around as a scare.
yeah.
Um, but
How about
that's
you, Noir? How about you
oh
doing?
oh me. Well,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
you.
just today got my voice back, so I'm loving that for me.
Good for us.
Um, yeah, I'm telling you, and I've got some potential news. We got some potential news happening here.
Yeah.
If things go my way, I'm sure we'll announce it next week. Um, that's fun. But let's get into the headlines for this week.
Yeah.
Uh, and we're gonna start with the one and the only Javion. I hear you got some money news for us
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Y'all like money? Well,
Yes.
Kickstarter certainly likes money. In fact, they managed to make over $7 billion so far since the platform launched back in 2009, and it looks like 20% of that total is all thanks to our favorite community, the tabletop gaming community. Tabletop games have made over $1.5 billion on Kickstarter so far. I'm sure you're very curious to know what other Kickstarter things did you guys know that Kickstarter does stuff other than board games and dice? I know. It's crazy. It's almost like it's a multimedia platform with lots of different things that you can crowdfund. Like for instance, did you know Fleabag was actually crowdfunded before it got turned into a huge series and
Wait,
super
really?
popular on Hulu? Yeah, absolutely. The one-woman show written and performed by Phoebe Waller-Bridge and directed by Vicky Jones got their start on Kickstarter. It
Wow.
was supposed to just be a way to help cover the cost of paying the company's designer and stage manager, but they ended up making tons of money. There's also lots of other things that they do on Kickstarter. Like for instance, there are lots of nonprofit uh, campaigns run, like We the People, the series of images that was all about responding to fear, hate, and racism around the 2016 presidential inauguration. There's tons and tons of other Kickstarters, but the big ones from the tabletop gaming community that helped push Kickstarter forward tended to be a lot of games that were surrounded by communities that already existed. Huge media uh, um, IPs that people already knew very well being turned into board games actually got funded the most. Like, for instance, The Binding of Isaac, The Witcher, Marvel, and Avatar The Last Airbender, which I'm sure you'll all remember that historic RPG Kickstarter campaign that raised over $1 million, way more than $10 million, actually. And then, of course, the other titles that weren't already huge titles that people had already known about that were backed most of all ended up being huge board games with lots of complicated systems and massive um, table presence and plastic miniatures and things like that. Like for instance, Gloomhaven, Kingdom Death Monster. I'm sure we all remember that huge one, and all of the Zombicide's most popular variations as well. You might have also recognized Cyanide and Happiness and Exploding Kittens, filling the top ranks of the most backers of any project on Kickstarter, which makes sense considering the broad fan base the webcomic series has garnered. So it just goes to show you that uh, if you are trying to be a huge Kickstarter and you're looking for some good ideas, just pick something that already exists and turn it into a Kickstarter. Like for instance, oh, I don't know, Noir. I'm sure you could come up with something. What's a Kickstarter idea that maybe you could come up with? Perhaps surrounding, I don't know, tarot cards, with a popular IP already surrounding it. Just combine two things. The first thing that comes up.
Man, the first thing that I was thinking good about it's usually the first thing that I'm thinking about is Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, exactly.
I live with Shondaland.
I can't.
If I'm not thinking about Grey's Anatomy, I'm thinking about Bridgerton. A Bridgerton tarot deck. Let's make it happen.
Bridgerton. Whoa. Okay, hold on. That's actually an amazing idea. Yeah, for all of you out there aspiring board
I'd
game
buy it.
designers, if you're just looking to make a quick buck, just find something that already has a huge community surrounding it, and then set a very low, like $1 Kickstarter campaign limit, and then just rake in the dough and start producing some tarot cards for your favorite whatever.
I hasten to add, make sure you have the license for the property.
What's
I
a
mean,
license? I've never heard of that.
honestly, that Grey's Anatomy tarot deck did not have the license.
It's if it's a tribute or a parody, I'm sure that like parody law has something to do with it.
Probably
That'll help
not.
you
They
overcome.
probably gonna get sued.
You have to be careful. Parody laws. There's a certain a tribute. No, tribute. Yeah, you better be careful there. Yeah,
Yeah.
get an intellectual property lawyer on your side before you embark on this quest.
One statistic I would love to have is how big of an impact TableTakes has had on Kickstarter's revenue stream, and why haven't you guys started sponsoring us yet? We bring in so many people. We report on you every week. Well, Well, hopefully they'll get back to me about the several hundred emails that I've sent them asking their new CEO to respond. They're going through a lot right now with their new CEO change and lots of internal changes. I'm sure they're just really busy. That's all.
Well, I'm sorry I got lost in the sauce thinking about the Bridgerton tarot deck because I really want that. But I think we've got even more crowdfunding news. Peter, why don't you take it away and tell us a little bit more about what we can see in the world of crowdfunding?
Yeah. Enough about Kickstarter. Let's talk about some of the other competitors in this space, like BackerKit. Okay, so this article is brought to us by Chase Carter at Dicebreaker, and Chase reports that around this time last year, the tabletop industry was scrambling for alternative crowdfunding homes after Kickstarter announced vague yet ominous plans to invest in blockchain technology as part of the platform's future. 6 months later, BackerKit announced it would be joining the burgeoning space with a crowdfunding marketplace of its own. BackerKit started as a supplemental toolbox for Kickstarter, filling frustrating gaps in the user and creator experience with payment processing, audience communication, and logistical support, along with building a fairly sterling reputation with their customers. A decade later, and the small team is staffing up ahead of an official launch in early 2023, coinciding with the just announced Gloomhaven RPG. At PAX Unplugged, Dicebreaker spoke with 3 of the people leading the transition into this new phase. Co-founder Maxwell Salzberg, senior community manager Jason Furry, and tabletop account manager Anya Combs. They express confidence in a brighter future that embraces small creators without shutting the door on tabletop's biggest publishers. Check out the link in chat if you'd like to read the full interview.
Heck yeah. So it's like the world of crowdfunding is just blowing up. I'm very, very excited to see more competition for Kickstarter. It's kind of the reason that we changed our Kickstarter to our crowdfunder court. So like it's great to see this world getting bigger and bigger. But speaking of getting bigger, if you want to get bigger, then the manual of gainful exercise from Steve Yoon is out. It's out now, so you can come check that out. It's got 119 tested workouts, each inspired by D&D subclasses, intro and modifications for beginners, workouts by subclass, location, and CR, a glossary, as well as coupons for 50, 90, and 100% off on a page. The supplement inspired by Dungeons and Dragons is there to help readers work out. The manual of gainful exercise is a digital guide to exercising that takes inspiration from subclasses in D&D history, designed to be used in a commercial gym or with a selection of workout equipment such as kettlebells, dumbbells, resistance bands, pull-up bars, and rowing machines. The guide takes ideas from the popular tabletop game and translates them into a series of exercise routines for players and game masters who want to sweat despite the equipment workouts. The manual does provide some ideas for alternatives should readers not have access to a gym or do not own exercise equipment. So again, I think this is pretty neat, a way for nerds to get buff in the most nerdy way possible. I mean, I wanna look like my paladin, so hey, this works out.
I was so skeptical at first. I was like, okay, how are you gonna make like how are you gonna make like a cleric care about like working out? But apparently doing burpees and killing yourself in the death domain is their analogy, which is amazing.
Hell yeah.
Listen, you said the word burpee, so we immediately have to change subjects because I hate burpees. So,
I don't know anybody that likes burpees.
Sickos. So Peter, I'm gonna hand it off to you. I hear that there's a new game that you've got a little bit of information on.
Yes. So this is this article is brought to us by my good friend Jeffrey Dom Sanchez via ICV2. Hey Jeffrey, how you doing? Thanks for bringing us good articles. So early in 2023, sit-down games will release into the US market Gardeners, a new silent cooperative game. Okay, record scratch right there. I'm going to pause myself right here because when Pandemic came out, that's the game. I mean, that game is the gold standard for co-op games. I think Javion would agree with me. I was all over the game. I love that game. I didn't really like how it devolved ultimately into heated debates on strategy, and this can lead to a situation where the best player is trying to convince the other players what the best strategy is, and they'll argue about it. And then some players are like, why are we even here? So the idea of a co-op game where everybody has to be quiet, that sounds interesting. And by the way, I also have a question. This is by Sit Down Game. Are these guys affiliated with the Shut Up and Sit Down guys? Because a silent game from them would be ironic, but no, they're not. Okay, so in this game, Gardeners, players take on the roles of, you guessed it, gardeners, for a fickle and capricious king who wants his garden arranged in a magnificent fashion. The gardeners must cooperate to fulfill his demands, even if they are changing constantly because he is forgetful, or maybe he's just a jerk. I don't know. Anyway, so the game is played in complete silence and in real time, tracked by a sand timer. Players must arrange as many gardens as possible using the same 36 tiles while obeying different restrictions from round to round. The players must try to score as many constraint cards as possible by the end of the game. Okay, I gotta admit, I'm a bit nervous about the timer because boomer, and well, I'm just not that quick on my feet anymore. But hey, let's continue. The game box comes with 36 garden tiles, 97 constraint cards, 59 standard cards, 21 expert cards, a sand timer, and a rule book. This game is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, and plays in 15 minutes. So, Sit Down Games also released Fairy Lights, a new card game into US retail. Oh, there you go.
Heck yeah, that sounds like a game that'll grow on you. I'm sorry for that. Anita, please, with your news story, go.
Yeah.
So there is some new updates for Magic the Gathering Dominaria Remastered. This also comes to us from Jeffrey Don Sanchez at ICV2. So Wizards of the Coast has released some updates. Heading to retail January 13th, 2023. The reprint set includes 27 different Magic the Gathering sets from the history of the game's original plane, Dominaria. It'll include as a limited run draft set and only available in draft boosters and collector boosters. Key retail dates are as follows. Scheduling opens December 12th. Promo kit delivers on January 2nd, and the launch party is January 13th through 15th. I'm not generally a Magic the Gathering person, but I have played a little bit of it here and there. I do really like launch parties are usually booster drafts or sealed deck events. So you can you can join the launch party at your friendly local game store if it is safe to do so. And there is a promo counterspell and a retro frame featuring original art by Mark Poole. And it's only given away throughout the weekend while supplies last. So check it out. More information, you can check out ICV2's 2022 Magic the Gathering release calendar.
All right, thank you very much. It's my turn now. Woo! And we're going to be talking about a different card game. We're talking about DC's deck building game. It gets a multiverse box, which is a storage box and game expansion. So Cryptozoic Entertainment has announced the multiverse box for its DC deck building game, a combination storage box and game expansion set to release in Q2 2023. The multiverse box is designed to hold cards from multiple sets, including room for card sleeves for those who choose to use them, which if you're playing a card game, you should use them. With 3 rows that can hold a total of 540 sleeve cards. It has a separate slot to hold 360 sleeved oversized cards. A pair of included component boxes can also fit inside the storage rows. The outer box sports an original cover by artist Omar Francia of Legends of the Dark Knight and Doom Patrol. In addition, it comes with the Multiverse Crossover Pack, which players can use for new gameplay options, recreating a conflict to control the multiverse for up to 6 players. This pack comes with the new multiverse locations for players to grapple over, as well as rules for fielding team-ups between superheroes and supervillains who can work together to take control of and protect new locations. Also featured is an event lineup that adds ongoing abilities that affect all players. Rounding out the set are a number of tiles and tokens to assist players in the game. The set includes 33 standard cards, 15 randomizer cards, 7 oversized card locations, 2 component boxes, 22 card dividers, 12 confrontation cost tokens, 2 active player markers, 2 lineup tiles, 1 source wall tile, 18 VP tokens, and 6 phone spacers for a market price of $54.99. So that's pretty cool if you are into the DC deck building game. And I'm just gonna end this little article saying that Batman is overrated.
Hey, all right.
So moving right along to Javion. I
Not
hear you
bad.
got some Warhammer 40k news. The Warhammer 40k universe could destroy DC, and so could Marvel. So why don't you tell us about it?
I see you have a lot of opinions, which is great. We love that. We also love Warhammer 40k, and who has more opinions than fans of Warhammer 40k? I have yet to find a person who doesn't have lots and lots to say about it if they know anything about it at all. Well, here's some more information that you could start talking about around the water cooler at work, I guess. The star of Witcher and Superman, Henry Cavill, is actually starting a new Warhammer 40k series. How exciting is that? You might have ever heard of other huge multimedia hits for Warhammer 40k. Back in 2010, there was the Ultramarines Warhammer 40k movie. And actually, just last year, there was Hammer and Bolter, a Warhammer movie that came out. And you might have also heard the 5-part series Astartes. It was a YouTube series that actually got bought up by Warhammer and is now on its Warhammer community website. So having an entire series made by Amazon, no less, is a very exciting thing to hear. We've already talked a little bit earlier today when I was talking about the Kickstarters that were really successful about how people who are already rallied around something will jump onto something new that's added onto, even if it's a different medium, right? So we're expecting to see lots of success from a series about a hugely beloved franchise, especially from somebody like Henry Cavill, who not only is a big name in popular media these days, but is also a huge fan of nerd culture and has been in news articles left and right about people who are just praising him for his love of anything from video gaming and board gaming to miniature gaming. He's been a big fan of Warhammer 40k for a long time, according to him, and Warhammer 40k is primed for a entire series. There's so much content to be found there. You might have heard that he stopped doing The Witcher so that he could move on to working with Superman. However, James Gunn decided to take things in a different direction with a younger version of Superman, which means Henry Cavill didn't actually have much to do in the DC universe in the movies that are coming out. So now it looks like he's just moving on to another project entirely. The Witcher series has already moved on, and I guess we are too. We're moving on to a completely new series of episodes about Warhammer 40k. It's interesting that we're doing this. We're seeing this about Warhammer 40k and not something like oh god, the name escapes me, but the fantasy version of Warhammer or any of the other spin-offs like Kill Team or things like that.
Scott Warhammer.
Blood Bowl.
Not Blood Bowl. It starts with an A. I'm so sorry. It's not even a version. It's just Warhammer, but like
Yeah, it's just Warhammer.
Okay, well, sorry, the name escapes me, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you want to check out the article from Kotaku, another big shout out to Ethan Gatch for this article. Thank you so much. There is a preview clip that is that Henry Cavill actually put on his Instagram that you can see there. It's pretty short, but it showcases a lot of the art and a lot of the love and it's a little bit of a teaser for what's to come. So if you're a big fan of Warhammer 40K, definitely take a look and see if you're also going to be as excited as we are to see some more tabletop gaming stuff turned into media that we can watch on the couch.
Heck yeah. Well, speaking of games that I would love to see turned into media, Darrington Press has announced a new game that sounds really freaking cool. Nina, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so Darrington Press announces Till the Last Gasp. This is another one that comes from our friend at ICV2, Jeffrey Dom Sanchez. So Darrington Press has announced Till the Last Gasp, which is a dramatic storytelling game of duels. It'll hit retail in March of 2023. It's a one-on-one game where players battle each other in a story-driven contest. You can choose the genre, whether it be fist-fighting monks, gunslingers, high-tech scenarios with lasers and sharpshooters. It accommodates a wide range of characters and genres and inspires players to explore the heart of the story between the two characters and their conflicted emotions. The game itself contains a 40-page rulebook, 2d20 dual dice, 2d6 20 d6 edge dice, 2-player boards, 9 jumbo map cards, pre-made characters, blank character sheets, a drama deck, objective and stance cards, tokens and trackers. And it is 2 players with an option for a third to act as a facilitator, and it plays in about an hour. Retail looks like it's going to be $39.99. Release is on March 2023.
Heck yeah. Well, that is it for our headlines for today. Next up, we've got our bundle balls. So Peter, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is going to be fun. This week's bundle is the Rifts Core Mega Bundle, which presents a gigantic array of PDF rulebooks, supplements, and sourcebook for Kevin Simbietta's Rifts tabletop role-playing game from Palladium Books. Now, somebody out there is going, this is ironic, Peter. I'm just going to say, Kevin and I, we hugged it out. Yep, everything's good between us, and I'm happy to be mentioning Rifts and talking about his games. Yes, and he's been doing this a long time, since clear back to the 80s. The Rifts universe has been developed and codified, and great gaming sessions have happened around his games. Okay, so in this bundle, they have brought back 9 titles from previous offers and added 9 major supplements new to the bundle of holding, giving you everything you need to run a complete campaign of mind-blowing adventure across a future Earth shattered by countless otherworldly invasions. For just $19.95, that's US dollars, you get all 7 titles in the core book collection. Retail value $71 as DRM-free ebooks, including the complete Rifts Ultimate Edition core rulebook, plus the Rifts primer, the Adventure Guide, Game Master Guide, and Game Master Kit, and Index and Adventures V1 and V2. And if you pay more than the threshold price of $42.25, you'll level up and also get the entire sourcebook collection, with 11 more titles worth an additional $129, including Sourcebook 1, Book of Magic, The Bestiary, Black Market, The Bionics Sourcebook, Vampires, The Mechanoids, Mindworks, and all 3 of the conversion books. 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to the Diana Jones Award Emerging Designer Program. Each year, the Diana Jones Award for Excellence in Gaming amplifies the voices of up-and-coming game designers by featuring them in an expenses-paid visit to Gen Con, which, by the way, I highly recommend.
Heck
You
yeah,
recommend Gen Con? Wow. High praise for Gen Con.
I do. I highly recommend it.
yeah. Awesome. Well, good calls, great books. Dive in. But if you want something else to dive into, well, we've got ourselves a sampling for you. So we've got our crowdfunder court, which will be judged by our very special guest today, Anita. So why don't you go ahead and take it from here?
Why, hello. Today on Crowdfunder Court, the People's Crowdfunder Court, I will be here to judge each and every one of you uh, on these crowdfunding goodness that you're presenting towards me today. I'm going to actually kick it off with a very special, this is actually a GoFundMe to help Magic Sword replace a stolen van and equipment. Magic Sword was in the middle of on the final show of their tour in Seattle, Washington. And unfortunately, their van and trailer with all of the equipment and merchandise was stolen. And the police have told them that there is no chance of them getting any of it back. So they have started a GoFundMe to sort of help combat that loss and replace what was in there. A whole lot of like good studio equipment, and Magic Sword has worked with Gen Con in the past before, so we want to help give them a little bit of a hand out here. So whenever the Magic Sword appears, good will always prevail. They are currently at $34,494 of their $50,000 goal. So if you can, give what you can. And if you can't, help spread the word. So yeah, that is that. And so I, with the spirit of giving in all of us, what say you for your crowdfunding curiosities these days? I don't know.
I'll go next. But really quickly, I just wanted to say, Magic Sword is an amazing band. They worked with Gen Con for a very long time, and they could really use your help. So I just also wanted to say, like, I donated on what I could, and I hope you guys can find your way to helping out. As whatever you can do to help them would be super appreciated, I'm sure. And we really hope to see them again at Gen Con. Okay, so for my Kickstarter, I've got one that I have been trying to tell y'all about for quite some time now, and we've had to keep pushing it back. We've had to let it slip a little bit so that we could talk about some other things, but I'm finally getting to talk to you about Cube Monster. Cube Monster is an engine building cube drafting game where there is a giant cube monster, and it's hungry for, you guessed it, cubes. You must feed the cube monster cubes of various colors specifically chosen so that it would be hopefully easier for those of us who are colorblind to see and be able to use while you're playing. Unfortunately, you will not be rolling these cubes. These are not cube dice. They just happen to be dice shaped because they are the best shape, a cube. The game plays in about 25 minutes per player. You can play solo, or you can play up to 4 players at a time. And it's all about being a villager who has to climb this giant cube monster mountain while feeding the cube monster. It's actually a race to see who can get to the top of the mountain first by sacrificing cubes to get there. However, doing that won't be so easy. You'll need the help of your factories and your markets and other buildings on your player board in order to do this. So there is a custom die, the monster die, that tells you how many cubes you're going to be sacrificing if you wanted to climb up higher, or how many cubes you're going to be losing if the cube monster has its hunger triggered and it wants a very specific amount of a certain type of cube from you, and you don't have what it takes. The cube monster will take a very heavy toll. The board is fantastic. There's lots of cool minis that you can paint if you want to. And there are lots of cool stretch goals that they have hit on their way to becoming fully funded, which, by the way, they are fully funded. And they've only got 4 days left to go. They've already hit $60,000 of the $20,000 goal with 746 backers to their name. So what I really love about this is it combines some of my favorite things. Obviously, I love cubes because I love dice. You can't be a dice collector without loving cubes. But also, I love engine building. I love collecting lots of stuff, and there's a lot of interactivity between the different players and also the cube monster itself. So it's got a very unique design, and it's hit a lot of stretch goals. So I'm very excited to see more. But I'm also very excited about the cube Vester pledge. I don't exactly have $925 to spare, but if you do, not only do you get 3 handmade silver cubes. That's right, handmade by one of the designer's father, actually, with the Cube Monster logo on them. But you also get your name in the rule book as an honorary supporter. So having your name immortalized in a board game forever seems pretty cool. Definitely worth the money. But wait, there's more. You also get a 1-hour video chat with the designer. Haven't you ever wanted to speak to a designer of a board game? Perhaps you can talk to them about what other cube-based product they have coming in the future. You can also just get the board game, the 3D monster board, and the 3D mountain, which, if you ask me, is the best part, plus all the stretch goals and access to the pledge manager after the campaign. So if this sounds as exciting to you as it was to me when I found out about it, definitely check out the link in chat and see if you have what it takes to reach the top of the mountain.
All right. I think I just need you to say cube 5 more times. It will be
Cube! Oh, hold on, that was only 3. Cube.
well,
Right.
there it is. All right. Enough games. It's time for me to start. Wait, no, it's not.
Whoa,
It's Peter's turn. I saw Cuba and I just heard
You are
Cube,
very quick to usurp the judge of the crowdfunder court, the people's crowdfunder court.
You know what? I'm
People's
walking
court.
away. I'm
Quick
so sorry,
to.
Peter. You go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I'm
Peter.
overstepped.
Yeah.
What next do we have?
Okay.
What ho?
Yes, I present to the court a Kickstarter called 18 Cuba. This is I'm just going to jump to the punchline. Why would they call it 18 Cuba? Well, it's an 18xx game. And so listen on, you'll find out what an XX game, 18xx game is if you don't already know. First of all, I want to say they've raised $25,000 of a $27,000 goal. They haven't quite hit their goal, but they have 14 more days left on Kickstarter, so I'm confident they will sell right past it. So 18 Cuba tells a fictional story about railroad tycoons in Cuba. So this 18xx game features 8 large companies as well as a state company, which operates with discarded trains and fixed stations on the map. Sugar plantations are represented by small companies and special tiles that produce sugar cubes, which can be picked up by the large companies with special railroad cards and added to their income by ferrying them off at a port. Although the state railway controls most of the station tokens, you can pay them off and use them for your own company. So, as usual in an 18xx game, the wealthiest player at the end of the game is the player. So I'm bringing this before the court because 18xx games are an interesting mini genre in board games, a genre that is so small that it's pretty hard to find an 18xx game unless you are in the community of players who like to play these games. The major publishers rarely venture into the genre because of how small it is. And most of the 18xx games out there are very DIY. Like, you download the map as a JPEG and print it out and glue it to cardstock, and you're cutting up all the good components out of tiles and stuff like that. So, and 18xx games are also very rough and tumble. I mean, it is like all out financial warfare in the railroad industry back in the 1800s, which is what the 18 stands for in 18xx. It's like some year in the 19th century. So this is financial war. If you wonder what like really ruthless financial warfare is like, just got to go back to the railroad days, back before we had pesky downers like, antitrust laws and stuff like that. So yeah, if you think Monopoly was like a lot of fun but too nice and too mellow, try an 18xx game sometime. And conveniently enough, here's one right here that you can go fund and get and be on the cutting edge of 18xx games right off the bat. There you go. That's all I got.
Incredible.
Mhm.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Noir, tell us a little bit about what you've presented to the court.
Well, first I'd like to say that Monopoly is responsible for me cussing out my grandma, so I don't think I can handle any. And you know I'm telling the truth because this is not the first time I said that on the
I
show.
know, you said that before.
Yeah, that Monopoly is made to break families and relationships. So, but that's not what I'm here for today. I'm here for something that brings the world together. Uh, roulette dice, world's first dice you play like the roulette. It's a 7-1 steampunk theme, all metal body, dice for TTRPG. For all your everyday decisions. Nothing is worse than trying to play a game only to find some of the dice missing. Multi-dice games are also difficult when there's a limited space to throw it, and it can be quite annoying when the dice invariably fall off the table. Wouldn't it be nice to have an innovative dice solution that meets the needs of all your games? Yes, it would. And that's why you need to get roulette dice. It's driven by the ambition to solve the problems of traditional dice and make gameplay more exciting. The team there designed the special roulette dice inspired by the shape of casino roulette wheels. And they created a special dice with low friction, smooth spins, and exquisite styling. Forget about keeping track of mismatched dice sets. Now you have it all with your roulette dice. Earlier before, I believe somebody said that the best shape in the world is cubes. I say nay. It's the wheel, baby. It's the wheel, and this is a dice and a wheel put together. There's 62 hours left in this Kickstarter, so get on it right now. They have a goal of 3,000 right now. They're at $125,212 because it's quality and everybody can see it. They've got the Project We Love stamp from Kickstarter, and I love it too, but I don't have a stamp. So that's my Kickstarter. My head is safe. I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.
In fact, your head is safe, I would say, for you have pandered to the inner dice goblin. And that is the truest way to win over this judge of the crowdfunder, the people's crowdfunder court. Dun dun.
Dun, dun.
But yes, back to you, Noir, as host.
That's right. That I thought we had one more to do, but we decided not to
Well, I'm gonna push that one
because
back.
the roulette dice was so
It was so good.
You know, who could compete? So I'm just gonna say a very special thank you to everybody watching, and of course, a very special thank you to these wonderful hosts of my co-hosts of mine, Peter, Javion, Anita, of course, Marcus handling everything behind the scenes, and let's send all of our love over to Bonsai who couldn't make it today. Mwah, love you. Hope everything's going all right. Please stick around because next we have coming up TableTakes game night with us. And we'll be playing Still Nacht. We'll be playing Still Nacht. Then at 5 p.m., sounds like I'm talking Klingon. Then at 5 p.m., join us for joyful gaming around Sarah's table. Then Dress to Kill continues this Sunday, 4 p.m.
Dress to Kill.
Just the Close. Listen, I know that we have a game coming up, and my competitive mindset is already locked in. I'm trying to murder everybody. Address the Quest continues this Sunday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Gen Con TV streaming schedule for the week: Mondays at 4 p.m. Board games with the Brothers Murph. Wednesdays. Nothing.
I don't think there's going to be an Actrogi this week.
It's not going to be Actrogi this week.
COVID casualty.
You know, you hate to see it happen. You know, you never know. We might surprise you. Never mind. We won't. On Thursday, 10 a.m. Blood on the Clock Tower. 4 p.m. on Thursday. Roll with Rim Alternatives. Then join us back here next Friday for more.
Not next Thursday.
Not next Friday. Listen, if it's holidays, we're tired. You can tell I'm very tired. But on a Friday, on the 30th, TableTakes comes back with game night and of course Sarah's table. Thank you all for watching, and remember, if you missed any of our programming, you can check out the VODs here on Twitch or on YouTube 24 hours later. Follow Gen Con TV here for more of the best 4 days in gaming all year long. I've been your host, Noir. I'll see you in just a little bit. I should mention that I was bullied into being the host today here. They did this to me.
You've done a really good job, though.
Oh yeah, doing great.
I will not be patronized by the likes of you.
You're holding up real well.
We'll see you in just a little bit for Still Not.
Come on.
Stille Nacht. Bye.